What's up YouTube, my name is Josh and this is a final video that I'll be making about reading my essays. I'll be reading my Dartmouth college essays that got me admitted. Yeah, so let's get into it. So at Dartmouth I had to send in 3 essays basically. One was the common application, which I'll link right up here. And the other 2 essays were a Why Dartmouth essay and another essay that was just a random topic. So I'll read the prompts and I'll read the essays. My first essay that I'll be reading is the Why Dartmouth essay. So the prompt is, while arguing a Dartmouth-related case before the US Supreme Court in 1818, Daniel Webster, class of 1801, uttered this memorable line. "It is, sir, a small college, and yet there are those who love it. As you seek admission to the class of 2022, what aspect of the college's program, community, or campus environment attract your interest?" So this is 100 words, and honestly the prompt is probably longer than 100 words. Here's my essay. Dartmouth is a risk, and it's one I want to take. Growing up in a city, I didn't expect to consider Dartmouth, but after learning more about its community, I quickly realized it is somewhere I feel at home. I can find the intimacy of the cafes I frequent in Dartmouth's Coffee House concert series and the comfort of movie nights and the Collins After Dark programs. Additionally, Dartmouth will allow me to apply my skills and grow academically through education and cognition research under Dr. David Kramer and compel me to explore new experiences through the outing club and skiway. So with the Why Dartmouth essay, it's really about emphasizing your fit within the school. And I think a big thing that admissions counselors look for there, if they're looking at an applicant that's coming from a big city like I am, is if I'm just applying because it's an Ivy or because I actually want to go there. So I tried to make it obvious that I was willing to take the risk, willing to take the jump, and just say that these are the things that I was interested in with Dartmouth. Dartmouth is very big on community, so I made sure to emphasize that and mention some events. I mentioned a little bit about the environment of the outing club and the skiway, which I am very excited to explore, and also a lab that I wanted to join. I'm actually working on getting a position in that lab right now, so hope that works out. So the second essay is the intellectual curiosity essay. You actually have 5 choices for this essay. There were others, but remember what they were. The one I picked was it was a quote by Albert Einstein. It says, "I have no special talent," Albert Einstein once observed. "I am only passionately curious. Celebrate your intellectual curiosity." It was 300 words. This essay was actually reused from a different application, but I expanded on it because the previous prompt only wanted 250 words and this one wanted 300, so I was like, you know what, let's take that 50 words to make some edits, and honestly it made it a way better essay. So yeah, I'll read it right now. "We shared a few words at a coffee shop, but I never caught her name. Here I'll call her Kathy. I couldn't help but analyze her. She was a brilliant conversationalist. She took the table next to me and asked me what I was working on, noticing my computer open to a Google Doc with Facebook Messenger in the corner, and we started talking. Within a few minutes, I felt like I'd known Kathy for years. She was a business school grad who worked for the UFC and was retiring next year despite being in her 20s. Eventually, Kathy returned to reading and I to writing, but shortly she began to talk with a woman, let's call her Jill, who had walked by with her sandwich. My former interlocutor attempted a 'Where did you get that?' No answer. Determined, Kathy approached Jill, repeated the question, and soon was engaged in a conversation that outlasted my departure. I questioned what had piqued Kathy's interest in Jill and me. I noticed that we were the only 2 people who'd clearly come to the coffee shop alone. Jill was quietly staring into space at an empty table, and I was giggling at my open laptop, doing work. Kathy's acute awareness fascinated me. She exemplified the ideal observer, listener, and communicator. Kathy reminded me to pay attention to subtleties, whether from the eye's direction or the word's inflection. Recognizing the cues completes the narrative. I most enjoy learning the stories of other people. Kathy showed me how, and revealed her own story in the process. I believe my intellectual curiosity to not be in exploring the complicated, but rather in appreciating the ordinary. Despite the brevity, I learned several new lessons. I believe that in studying the stories of others, I may learn many more." So a big thing for me, just growing up through high school, I guess, was just going to coffee shops and talking to people a lot. And I think what really made this essay stand out was the fact that it was just an ordinary experience that could have happened to anyone, like, on any given day. It was just a conversation at a coffee shop, and I decided to analyze it on a deeper level. I actually wrote this essay right after the conversation happened. I was at the coffee shop, and then I talked to the person, and then, yeah, I went right to work after, and, I ran home, wrote this essay, and I was just so proud of it. Honestly, one of my best essays. I remember that when you're writing essays, don't worry so much about if your essay is some perfect topic, like if it's super compelling, because I personally believe that any topic can be compelling if you write it that way and if you frame it properly. Honestly, like if you asked me what this essay was about, I would have said, oh, it's about a conversation I had with the lady at a coffee shop. And like, that sounds pretty freaking lame, you know? Like, what can you gain from that? And also, one thing I did in this was I gave the people I met names because I never remembered their names or even asked for them, I think. So I think the main reason that I wanted to do this was because I didn't want to keep saying, oh, the lady that talked to me or the lady that sat at the table over and over and over when I referred to someone. So it was just like, let's call her Kathy, let's call her Jill. And it was just like super generic, and I think it really humanized the characters more in this essay because of the fact that you can imagine them as people. Like when you give someone a name rather than saying the person, you kind of give them a face too, because like what kind of person do you associate the names Kathy and Jill with? Like if I told you, hey, I met a girl named Kathy, what kind of person pops into your head? I think my point here is at least there's someone that pops into your head. You don't have this vague figure of a female doing all these actions. No, you're putting a face to it based on who you associated this name with. I guess it was also kind of a unique topic because rather than saying, oh, I did this research project or I read this super cool book and just made myself seem hyper intellectual, I took the simplifying version of these prompts because there's always going to be those people that are like, oh, I solved a Rubik's Cube and spent hours and hours trying to learn how, when you have a prompt that says celebrate your intellectual curiosity. I went the opposite direction, and instead of trying to be someone that's superhuman or someone that's like heroic in some way, like I didn't want to present myself as someone who had these qualities that were super out there. I decided to take an ordinary interaction and draw intellectual curiosity from it. So yeah, those are my Dartmouth essays. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment down below what you want to see in future videos. This is my very last reading my essays video, so I hope you enjoyed these, and I hope they really gave you some peace of mind, I guess, when you're writing your own essays. There's a lot of pressure to do well on these essays, and not gonna lie, I definitely felt it when I wrote them. Just the fact that I am giving you something that's more of an ordinary topic and how I made it work out for me in the end and how I made the essays successful is something that I think is really valuable. Before I end this video and end my series on reading my essays that got me into colleges, I also need to emphasize the point that watching these videos oftentimes just isn't enough. There's other aspects of the college admissions process that you need to be privy to as well. So I wanted to give a quick shout out to ConnecPath. Many high school students struggle finding counselors or mentors who help them get into college. Luckily, there's finally something that can fix all of these issues for them. ConnecPath is a cool new app for high school students to ask college students any college-related questions, from winning essays to scholarship tips. High schoolers can search for personal mentors or post on the forum page. The college mentors are from places like UCLA, Dartmouth, Columbia, and more. So if you're a high school student, please check the link below. I know there's a lot of websites out there right now, like College Confidential, r/applying to college, that can give you some source of information, but it's better to find a community of people who have already been through the process. I believe that ConnecPath can serve as that. Please click the link below to find out what the app is, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.